to answer. Yes, when you want to go for an election, any political party message they're bringing to the people, another being where the numbers are. So I suppose that Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency Waziri Adamawa, was reacting to where the numbers are. And to draw it down, their positions too. It's purely a unique political party issue. For the Atiku Abubakars and the Northern PDP elements, their argument is, in 1999, PDP had 8 years with Chief Obasanjo. Right. In 2007, they went north to Yaradua, but it was jettisoned because, okay, he died. Jonathan, being a southern man, being the vice, because of our balance, stepped in, completed the term, and then had a fresh term of his own because it was in the southern hemisphere, with the exception of 2 years plus that Yaradua had. Right. Now, their argument is, shall they continue to be part of a political party that merely puts power and opportunity in the hands of Northerners? So I do not know whether I share the full sentiment that the party will die. What I can comfortably live with is that maybe they may lose. But if they lose an election, maybe they will be able to recoil, maybe they will not be able to recoil. But from what I suspect, I think the PDP will have a very tough battle in winning. Because when you want to bring a president from a particular region of the country, you need to look at who and what quality of man you are bringing. So I think Atiku made that comment based on what he's hearing from his northern compatriots. But it does not, their views are not the only views in the country.
Right. So you're saying, in essence, it doesn't necessarily represent what the large...
No, because we have a large number of people in PDP in the south too. And there will always be new uptakers who take advantage of slips in other locations.
Does this not hint of a sort of rift between PDP party members?
Well, political parties are not monasteries where people go in and read the catechism or go and chant any of their spiritual things. It's a very, very convoluting, engaging conversational space where emotions, interests, and what have you come to play. There is no real big rift there. It's just that anyone who wants to govern or who wants power in his own section must look for arguments to favor him. There are quite enough arguments on the side of those who are also saying PDP must go south now. So I think what is important, like I said in the beginning, they have to look at the quality of who's coming. They have to look at the message they're bringing to the Nigerians, and they have to look at where the numbers are. Because at the end of the day, if no political party can install itself, it still needs to communicate to the Nigerian people.
Let's look at the words and the statement of the chairman, the national chairman of the party now, Yochia Ayu, who referenced that or seemed to insinuate that zoning is the way to go. And that's because the chairmanship of the party has come to the north and the presidency has to come to the south by insinuation.
That's not what our zoning says.
Okay.
The People's Democratic office is entitled to a second term, and then you then say you're going to be discussing conversation on zoning when is eligible to a second term. So it's almost as if the PDP runs on an idea that the zoning arrangement is kept for every 8 years. Since if the guy wins, he'll probably be eligible for another time, whether it be governor or whatever. Therefore, Yochia Ayu, I believe, is couching the concept of zoning in such a manner that it can accommodate all free nav, pending when the committee that has been set up will come up with this result. So if they zone north, it will seem right and legitimate. And if they zone south, it will also seem justiciable, legitimate. So I think Yochia Ayu was being every inch a good chairman in making sure that he can calm free nerves, pending where those who have to dig their nose on the grindstone and come up with precisely what they want to do. Don't forget, when we took the conversation around zoning the chairmanship to him, it was clearly said that if for any reason a northerner emerges as a chairman, it's a no-brainer, the man resigns and the next person from the south takes over. So PDP is fairly organized in that regard.
Okay. Let's maybe look some sort of scenario.
Also went south. That was an unusual time.
Right.
In 2003, PDP went south, stayed south with Obasanjo, APP or AMPP, whatever they call them, they went north. And AMPP has been going north consistently. It doesn't matter whether PDP went south or went north, they've stayed north. Why? Because they have to look at the numbers. Now, PDP has been more equitable. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has had 8 years. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan have had about 6+ years. The only years that the Northerners have had, they've had only 2+ years before because Yar'Adua died, accident of fate. The question then begging for answer is this: do the PDP continue to assume that its northern elements who are members of the party are happy to sit in the party when at the end of the day, the biggest office in the land is never zoned north? But you know what? I gave them a far more intelligent and easy way out. And I said to the leaders very clearly, and I pushed this argument very forcefully, that look, the country is divided into 6 zones for a purpose. It is to create equality of some sort. Otherwise, you will get the impression that there's a very big one north and there are 3 south. Therefore, we have northeast, northwest, north center, 3 up north. We have southeast, south-south, southwest, 3 south, down south. Therefore, when we're talking about rotation, we must look. The 2 zones in the southern part, the southwest and the south-south, have had presidents except the southeast, whereas in the north, only the northwest has had the presidency. Are we going to say we're zoning in such a way that the big number of people that are in the north central, the Igalas, the Igeres, all of those tribes cannot be president? Or we're going to say all of the people that are in the northwest can be president because we conveniently, hypocritically assume that we're going to run a country where the baton will be passed only between the northwest and the southwest? Obviously, that will not be good for the country. Too much agitation will come up, and at the end of the day, it becomes a little bit difficult to have a united country. So, as far as I'm concerned, my greatest interest is at this material time, we just need somebody that can get the country working, and let's just have peace. Because you see what's going on in the country right now. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that all our issues have come to the surface, and therefore we don't need a commander-in-chief that will be joking about.
Right, let's talk sales of forms. It broke out 2 days ago that there's been an extension in the deadline, now being the 8th of April. Does this have anything to do with, well, the exorbitant prices of those forms? I mean, in total, they come to about 40 million naira.
That's not the only form we buy. If you have 40 million, you buy 40 million. I bought 21-point-something million for governorship. Other people are buying different. There's 5 million for Senate. Look,
no, I'm talking about
I am particularly uncomfortable with the excessive monetization of the democratic process. And I really think that the parties have not been creative in finding alternative ways to raise funds to run party activities. And they've listed onto sales of form and such activity. The danger there is that it's a glass ceiling for young people. It's a glass ceiling for smart people. It's a glass ceiling for the type of leaders that you really need. Because imagine what they have to go through just to even find the money to buy the It wasn't very easy for me to come up with the money, but I had to come up with it by myself. When I put the money together, I went to go and buy the form. I actually looked at it and I said to myself, really, Segun? Are you going to kind of... But I had to, because if you must lead, you must have to kind of like work within the rules that have been created. And I believe that, yes, it's too expensive. They didn't increase the sales, the date because of money, no. Works. And it is typical of political parties to always say we're giving another extension just so that in case there's somebody that still needs another million here, another 1,000 here from his friends, we can go. And Nigerians can also crowdfund and help any of their ask the people they like to buy forms. And in any case, presidency is not the only position in the party. You can always start small and grow.
Let's look at the chances of the PDP in 2023
to
win the presidency. I mean, you're a member of the party. What chances do you think your party has? People feel that it's usually pretty difficult to win an incumbent, and maybe bar 2015 when that happened in the history of our nation. So they feel the chances of the PDP are pretty slim 2023. Do you feel that way?
Back into power.
Yeah.
I've asked myself privately that where is the pathway for the PDP as a political party to get power back in 2023? I'm a little bit nervous because I'm nervous in the sense that I watched the APC when they were coming into power. They didn't bicker much. They weren't tearing themselves apart. Their juggernauts were looking for more people. They looked for people until the extent that they even broke the new PDP people into them. What I'm seeing the PDP do now is dangerous because they don't have all of the numbers they need, and yet they are creating divisions within their ranks. And so if we're not very careful and we don't resolve this very, very quickly, the 2023 election will just be some kind of participation show, and we may not get what we want. What we need right now for PDP is for us to come together and say, okay, all of these conversations, enough. Who can win it for us? Who can get the job done? Who can hit the ground running? Who can the Nigerians connect to? Who do they know? Who do they like the conversational style? Who do they like the ideas he's bringing? Who misbehaves and continues to form government? So if the people of Nigeria, they have an opportunity now, they can look and say, okay, everything considered, we want to go with A, or everything considered, we want to go with B. As far as I'm concerned, democracy is already alive. It's now down to the people to increase their own participation and interest, to be in that franchise to decide what is best for them. But if the people don't use it, they have to lay on their bed the way they have made their bed.
Looking at 2015 once again in retrospect now, do you think your party has learned from the mistakes of the past?
I don't really think the PDP made mistake because it lost in 2015. I hold the view that democracy does not run on an assumption that one party will be winning all the time. I hold the view that democracy runs on the assumption that one party will have an opportunity to govern, then another party can come on board, people will breathe out a little bit, taste a different type of approach, then they will decide whether they are better served or not, and then that baton passing between the two big parties. I'm actually right now eagerly waiting for a fresh new idea, a new bat of a new party that can be a little bit more humanist, that can answer the people's agitation properly, that can organize themselves in a more equitable manner, that can put emphasis on the things that we know we need to put on, and that can give people that are smart, people that are bright, people that have good ideas an opportunity to lead. You know why? Because I want the APC at the beginning of 2015, after they had won. I had a chance interview with the Minister of Information, Nalai Mohammed. And at the back of that interview, I said to him, I said, sir, your party looks nice. The ideas you are talking about seem smart. But can I ask you to do me one favor? I said, what is it? I said, grow this party organically. Do not throw your party open to all comers. Otherwise, you will not be able to even protect the ideology of the party. And it will not fulfill the expectation of Nigeria. I wasn't going to go and join them. Look at what they've done now. They've just done their NWC, what they call it. And almost everybody there is a former PDP man. That was what I was trying to get them to avoid, because they had won at that time. And I wanted them to use the space they wanted to accommodate fresh people, to accommodate people that have the same type of ideology like them. I didn't want them to just take Paul from the next house and put him in another garment and call him Peter. But Allah, that's what they've done to themselves. So you can see that in the taste of the mouth and in the feelings of the Nigerian people, it's extremely difficult for them to be able to differentiate between the personalities running the both party. It's as if a thief in PDP is a saint when he gets to APC, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
There have been recent defections from the PDP to the APC. Does this speak of a lack of faith in the PDP?
I tell you what about defections. People are able to go to where they think the money is. And you know, when you have power in your hand, it takes a lot of discipline for people like me to stay away from the ruling party, because everybody's running there. It's a lot easier for them to give them appointment. They can be invited to good parties. They have photo ops of pleasant things. They do not understand that it's a lot of work to keep staying where you need to stay so that you can reform it from the inside if need be. So don't worry about the defection. Defections are happening on both sides. I actually predict that the fact that the APC has just finished its convention and they have not started to answer or the difficult question of precisely where they're going. That's why you are still seeing them having the what you call like the calm before the volcano or before the storm. Eventually, when they decide where they want to go, I'll be interested in seeing how all the numerous people that they brought into their party will be able to stay, given that whatever seat they are looking for is only available for one man. And as far as I'm concerned, the contest should always be about ideas. In fact, it's not about winning. It's about surfacing the issues in democracy to make sure that the conversational space reflects the will of the people. And whoever will win has a repertoire of, ideas to harvest from the contest. And if we cannot do anything, we should at least be able to inspire the younger generation, because some men inspired us a couple of years back. Awolowo of this world, the Nnamdi Azikiwe of this world, the Tafawa Balewa of this world. But if we continue at this monetized irritation, where people have zero ideas, and they just bully around and just do nonsense and say they want to lead, it's up to the people to stop them. We may not know who God will allow to lead us, but we should on our own know those that we will never allow to lead us. And our responsibility is to make sure we stop those that don't deserve to lead us and encourage those we think deserve to lead us, and then let the will of God happen.
All right. We should also let you know that we have Twitter space up now, so you could also join us via that platform at Splash FM 1067. The Twitter space is up. You could easily be a participant, really. Just check it out on Twitter at Splash FM 1067. If you want to send us tweets as well, and sure to use the hashtag Panorama on Splash when you send your thoughts. We'll get to them very shortly as well. For WhatsApp, it's 0817 555 1067 0817 555 1067. We should also mention that we're live on Facebook, and so you could drop us a comment on the live feed. Right, that's what it is. So
right there,
you could send us your thoughts. We'll get to WhatsApp, we'll get the calls in about, say, 14 more minutes. So we'll open the phone lines pretty early and you ask your questions. We're having a conversation about the PDP in 2023, whether it is a make or mark for the party. And we're speaking with Mr. Segun Showunmi, who himself is a Guba aspirant for Ogun State. But then I want to also get your thoughts in some way as it concerns some of those who have declared and made their interest known. I mean, you talked about how you are not exactly for zoning, but who gives your party the best chance to win come 2023? Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has declared his interest.
Right.
Bukola Saraki has declared his interest. I understand Pius Aim has declared his interest. Dele Momodu has declared his interest. Sam Ohuabunwa has declared his interest. Peter Obi has declared his interest. In your opinion, I'm tempted to think I know who you would support, but then I want you to sincerely answer. Who gives your party the best chance in 2023?
Beyond even who gives the party the best chance, my greater concern has been who gives the country the best chance. You cannot have bombing on the rail station, invasion of airport, all of the issues we're contending with, criminalities all around, even in Ogun here, and all of that, and you would not be eager to say we cannot have a fumbler in chief. We cannot have someone who cannot run the country. We cannot have someone who cannot hit the ground running. We cannot have somebody who cannot quickly put the cabinet together. All of these things usually make me say, wow, has Atiku Abubakar been spared just for this moment? Because he ticks all the boxes. But I am mindful of the fact that other people too may be able to try. But what I find extremely disappointing with all of them for now, except by Atiku, is that they're not discussing the issues. They're glossing over them. You will hear them say, oh, when it comes to security, I will secure the country. I will go to the front line. And I find that so idiotic. A retired, tested, battle-ready general is in charge of the country. He has controlled the armor. He has controlled divisions. He's in charge of the country. And he's struggling to manage security and neophytes are coming to the table talking about security without telling us precisely what type of plans they have. You're hearing them struggle about agriculture, which has a correlation with, all the crisis. People can go to their smallholder farms. You hear people say, I would give food sufficiency. They're not telling you how. You're hearing people say, I will unite the country. The country will be united. And you're wondering, what exactly do you intend to do to unite the country? So I tell you what, as members of the fourth realm of the estate, and by this program, through the both of you, speaking to all our colleagues and everybody, 2023 is not the time that you pamper aspirants.
Right.
You need to ask them the real question on the how. Because we need to know by ourselves, why are we asking them? We're asking them how, because people cannot keep being frustrated in a democracy. We need to be making progress. We need to be really solving this question. If we have to do a restructuring conversation, we need to know what exactly does this man understand as restructuring. If you want to secure the country, you boastfully say you can do it. You need to begin to tell us precisely what tools, because the emphasis is already in the play and it's not going away. If we made it issues, if we ask them these questions, we will begin to see the bright light among them. And the ones that cannot cope, they'll begin to drop off. But if we leave it to everybody just yappity-yap, 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 they've not even thought through the problem they said they want to solve. They assume that once you get to the seat of the commander-in-chief, you will just gather everybody and start to trump yourself about anyhow. We will not get the right president. Somebody will win, but we may not be the right one. So we have a duty to make sure that both at state and at national, we interrogate the issues. Because at the end of the day, it's our lives.
Right.
It's our brothers that are getting killed. It's our people that are getting hungry. It's us that can't find jobs. So we need to be asking serious questions. Right. Once we do that, anybody who we bring out from such a funnel will be able to do the job. I do not agree that there are no Southerners that can lead now. There are Southerners that can lead. The only thing is that, where are they? And I do not agree that we don't have enough other Northerners that can lead. The question is, where are they? Right. But I have followed Waziri Atiku Abubakar. I've listened to him. Even before I started speaking for him during the last election, I've read his policies consistently over about 5 circles. So I kind of understand what he wants to do. So that's, kind of making me think, hey, maybe we should give him a chance. But hello, he's not the only one in the country.
Right.
Other people have a right to their aspiration, but they must come to the table with a plan that we can see, with something with and then we can then say, okay, everything considered, oh, you Waziri, you are the one we want to do, and then let's go and make it happen. It's democracy.
Right.
That's the opportunity we have.
Right. Let's bring this down to our state now, Ogun State, and the APC, as well as your party. Many feel that, and I'm hoping you'd also help us allay these fears. Many feel that the factionalization that exists in the PDP in Ogun State is not giving the PDP the chance it could have to win the Guba elections or even the State House of Assembly elections come 2023. Right. What do you feel about that, or how do you feel?
Don't stay with the old narrative. The People's Democratic Party of Nigeria in Ogun State was very factionalized in the past. But with due respect, bearing just little management of free nerves, we're pretty much more united now. As of today, a few of us have picked the form to go and try and, be governor. Right. I know my brother Abeokuta has done his, has picked his. Right. I know my brother Jimmy Lawal has. I have. Maybe other people will. And we all bought the form from the same office in the national. Nobody is sitting in the corner to say he wants to go and print his own form and buy his own form. So we're united to that extent. We have issues with the fairness, integrity of the process that will carry us to the primaries. But beyond that, we are pretty united. We don't have any real big faction anywhere anymore. We've crossed that hurdle. And may God continue to carry us forward and let us find the kind of person that can win, because we know those who can't. As per our rivals, APC, you know what I always say to people when they ask me a question about APC is this. I always say to them, we must give them time. PDP has had, between 1998 when it was formed to date, a consistent opportunity to learn, to make mistakes, to beg themselves, to decamp and camp. These guys have only had one opportunity, and they don't have any playbook by which they are going to know that if you do this, this will happen. Save that of the PDP. But what I'm not happy with them for is that they are not learning from the mistakes and the pitfalls that they can clearly see as bedeviled the PDP. For instance, in Ogun now, it's almost as if, just like PDP would usually do in those days, which we have learned from, if the governor is seated on one corner, then the governor's corner is the only corner that exists. And all the others have to be struggling outside. And when you even look at their party, can you imagine the almost unbelievable that you don't have anybody that has even said he's going to go and buy form to contest? Even if the governor is going to buy his own form, is that the reason why there are no other persons in that party that even want to challenge him to the contest for the purpose of the conversation? So you can tell that maybe they will learn. I do not know what will happen in the next election. I don't know who the people of Ogun State will give their franchise to, but I really do not want us to have a loss of either of the two parties. Because in the end, this conversation has to continue forever. Just like you see in other countries, the Democrats, the Republican, Labour, Conservative, Christian Democratic Union, and Socialist Democratic Union. You know what I'm trying to say? It's almost like a little to the left and a little to the right. All I demand, or try to encourage our people to do, pick a side and stay there. The grass is really not greener on the other side. But you know, now that I'm trying to contest for governor, I have now realized how difficult it is to keep saying that, because sometimes people are cheated so badly in the contest that you leave them with no alternative but to leave. But I think that's why we now need a third force, so that those who are angry in APC and those who are disgusted with PDP can empty into a new party that all Nigerians can follow. But you know what? It's down to you people. Nigerians love their money. It seems to be that the only thing that all of us have in common is love of money. Therefore, if a small party is even trying, we're never willing to give it that little push or that little support, because we're looking for the two big parties who can come up with the money. And at the end of the day, you ask, what is the value of that money that you're taking today relative to the 4-year opportunity for these guys to just be misbehaving in power and not listening to you or serving you or doing the best? So I think that there's enough conversation space for us to speak to the parties, which I am doing, to speak to the leaders, which I keep doing, but also to speak to ourselves. There is no point in being in a democracy and not demanding that the people that will lead will be people that meet the kinds of expectations you have.
All right, we'll get to phone lines very shortly once again, but then let's also reiterate that we're live on Facebook. Feel free to share the feed that you see as well, so as many as can connect to it will be able to do that as much as they want to as well. I see some comments coming through on Facebook. Please keep them coming. Also on Twitter at SplashFM1067. Again, it's important that you add that hashtag Panorama on Splash. The WhatsApp line is 0817 555 1067. Our conversation this morning.
Have some comments on WhatsApp already.
I can imagine. Oh, so we're speaking with Mr. Segun Showunmi this morning. We're looking at the PDP in 2023, as well as if it's actually make a mark year for the party. If I got you right, sir, you talked about how you feel there is no factionalization between the Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party. But can you help us make a sense of why Sikurila Agundele, who has said he remains the only chairman of the party, debunking rumors of factional groups, seem to endorse you and not other aspirants? And I'm trying to be careful also not to exactly mention names, because you mentioned that you have picked up a form. Honorable Adebuta has picked up a form. You mentioned a third person.
Jimmy Lawal
has picked up a form and all of that. But they seem to endorse you. And not
well, I don't know whether they've endorsed me. In fact, if you ask me, I will actually say that they're where you will have a full gamut of structure that will be running under President Kashamu's ESCO. They will go to cut all the way to the wire, and it's on that basis that candidates will emerge. And the ones that lose will lose, obviously. But right now, somehow we have calmed down a little bit for ourselves. I said there's still need for us to manage the frayed nerves and make sure that the party is fair to all. The only thing that can happen when you go for a contest is two. It's either you win or you lose. Even when you lose, you haven't really lost, in my opinion. The courage of even daring is more than a good enough reason for you to feel proud of yourself. So I think that what will be instrumental or decisive is how the Sikurila Agundele ESCO manages itself I'm a little bit disappointed that they gathered in a radio station. He kept saying the ESCO contributed money to buy a form. They will have to come and give me money for my form too because I bought it by myself. These are the kinds of things that produces issues. You're supposed to be the umpire. We're all coming to you to knock your doors to ask you to give us the delegate mandate. You cannot, with every sense of responsibility, over-tilt towards one. Because when you do that, we're going to then remind you of what your friends did when the structure did not favor them.
Right.
I remember they went to sign an MOU. You expect those of us that have been sitting in this party since it started to take it lightly with people if they are not even at least trying to show some modicum of fairness. But I tell you again, with every emphasis, there will be no factionalization in PDP. What will happen is that we'll contest within the party. We'll try to get the delegates to see that we have the capability to win. Whoever they want to back, they can back. And I was in court one of these days, and the learned judge of the High Court in Abeokuta, she was ruling on a case that PDP had brought for itself. She said something that is almost like wow to me. When she was writing the judgment, Justice Abdulmalik, I think, Joyce Abdulmalik, that's her name.
Okay.
She said, politicians, when you have problem among yourselves, take it to your party because that's where you should go first. If your party does not handle it well, go to another party if that's what you really feel you need to do. If you are not satisfied with another party, go find something else to do. You don't have to do politics. I swear to God, the judgment that day was against my friends, but I was supporting the side that lost. But it was like, wow. I could literally just pick her up and throw her up and pick her up and throw her up because she represented the essence of what human beings should be like. I cannot desire to serve you and then it's by force. If it is a difficult job, I will tell you I can do it. But if you let me do it, I'll do it. If you don't let me do it, come on, man. I'll be in the Bahamas. I'll be enjoying sunshine and sipping Sunday. You don't have to try to lead people by force unless you're a thief.
Right.
And most of the time, people who have been leading us, with due respect to them, they've not been exactly very good when it comes to the money.
Let's get to the phone lines now. I'd like to be part of the conversation. We have about 15 minutes to do this, so you have to keep your thoughts very, very brief so we can take as many as possible. Also take the thoughts that we have on Twitter as well as WhatsApp.
The phone lines have been ringing. Hello, good morning.
Let's get to this first. Please keep your thoughts to 1 minute so we can allow as many people as possible to be part of this. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello.
Yes,
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Ola Anima Showunmi is the name calling from Abeokuta.
Thank you for calling us up. Please go on.
Vintage Segun Showunmi, nice to have you on. I'm really enjoying your submission. You see, the penultimate time that I was on that in that station where you are, I also made mention of the what and the how, like you said. It's not just what they want to do. You want to do, but we should engage you on how. I tell you, my brother, it is somebody who brings himself forward to be engaged with that you can ask the how. And I make bold to say, without any aspect of hesitation, the current occupier of Ogun must stop. With all sense of apology if I'm offending anybody. Only, climbed on the pedagogic, or do I say, the kind of soldiers to come and do that on radio with you. And up to this moment, refuse to come on radio, particularly the state government. That's difficult to engage them on. Up to this moment, it is hide and seek. Quite unfortunate that you politicians, most of you feel like that. I hope you also be different. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Malani Masha, for talking to us. Let's take more calls. Please keep your thoughts down to 1 minute. We are pleading this time around so we can have as many people as possible to be part of this. Good morning to you. What's your name? Please turn off your radio.
Hello, good morning.
I'm calling from Abeokuta.
All
Hello,
right,
please go
speak
on.
to us, please.
Mr. Segun Showunmi, what we need to do now is for your party to go and settle the internal rancor, to be united, to give us an egalitarian avenue for masses to take decision whether they are going to follow your party or not. I think this is the right time to do. You have said it all. but there is need for all of you to have cohesion and not to stop beating about the bush, about the pocket, but about the masses and giving us an egalitarian society. I think that is not what has to be happening now for us to decide fervently whether we are going to follow you or not. I wish you the best, though. I wish you the best because you are there. I wish you the best. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Alara, for talking to us. Again, more calls can suffice at this point in time. 0817 444 1067 0704 400 1067. You could also call 0705 050 1067. We want to react to a few of the thoughts.
Well, one of the things that make you know that the citizens have a responsibility is that people can't just show up in election circle and talk. People must make themselves available. I've never passed on any opportunity when you ask me to come, even when it's tough. So that's how you know those that are going to be accessible and available. Any commander, any governor or commander-in-chief that doesn't understand that the words of a leader communicate clarity, communicates hope, communicates value to the people, doesn't deserve to lead them. You cannot be leading us when we can't even engage you. So that's how you get the how. Right. And the journalists whom they will call occasionally are the ones that have a responsibility to ask probing questions. And if they don't come for debates, just cancel their name. Don't even bother with them because you already know that the one who will not even come for a debate, how is he then going to answer you on queries when he finally becomes your leader?
Right.
Start of PDP. Oh God, I wish there were no personal interest. It will be me, it will be you. I wish it wasn't involved in politics. But politics is like that. So it's not going to be piece of the graveyard, but it's not the kind of crisis of the years. Like I said, profound respect to them. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. Right. There will be strong consequences if they do not level the space and allow people to come and participate with the belief that there's some integrity there. They're not stupid. They can answer questions themselves privately in their houses. But if it is only about money or if there's a need for us to win, they have to know where the numbers are. They have to track the issues. They have to know who has ideas popping out of his head. They have to ask this question and they have to take a decision. Luckily, there are not just two parties in the states. There are alternative political parties. What makes the PDP or even the APC so cocky into thinking that a third force cannot win is you, the people, that are giving them that illusion. You can defeat us both. It's very, very easy. The number of people that are outside the fray who are not interested in the both parties are so many. If you find a good candidate elsewhere, hello, if it's good for you, it'll be good for me. If you've asked him the right question, it will be good even for me. And if it is me, sure, you know I'll be good for you. Right. But the point is, that decision is why we're in democracy, is in your hand. It's not a military system where somebody just does a coup. It's not a kingship where some people just sit down and anoint somebody. It's democracy. Give the people the courage to use their franchise properly. And then you will see that all of these Humpty Dumptys in the two parties will learn very fast.
All right.
Good morning. It is unfortunate. You see, when you read the book, of all you have said different things. And I may disagree with one or two. But what piqued me was the way you were happy because you saw a beautiful judgment, even when it did not favor you. And you used the word, the essence of what humans should be. You see, when you read Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope, he said, in a democracy, the most powerful office is the office of the citizen. But you agree with me that in a kwashiorkor democracy, or a struggling one, the citizen is stifled. And the indices that determine his rationality on election day is not so healthy. And you agree with me, like you said, even though you didn't say it so clearly, that from 99 till today, it is not our finest men or our most honest men that can afford to pick these funds. And like Ganifa would say, there's rigging before the election during the election and after the election. Now, David Sola Abiola, with her father's surname and 5 million, was told to step down from one of the attributes of democracy, which is a consensus. Sometimes democracy has its dangerous side. But in a serious state, the most beautiful part of a democracy should be heightened. On zoning and micro-zoning.
Okay, Nicholas, because of time.
We do have a lot of comments to cover.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. All right, let's take some comments on WhatsApp now from Abiodun Surakat. Since you are sticking with Atiku Abubakar for president, who do you think he should pick as running mate since Peter Obi is also contesting? Aditayo Adeniro, good morning. From Olawale. Good morning, Panorama. Wonderful man, objective and impactful analysis. God bless Segun Showunmi. Even though I have reservations concerning the Atiku presidency, we need someone with less baggages. We need people of integrity and power. My question I want to ask you is, what exactly is the New Deal all about? That's from Olajide Olawale Opeyemi. We have this one. Good morning, Mr. Segun Showunmi. Good morning, Splash. My opinion is Nigeria needs serious restructuring before the 2023 election. If we fail to do this, we will continue to face the same challenges we've been facing for long. I stand to be corrected on this. Gone are those days when you say, oh, wow, well, I'm so sorry. I cannot translate this, so I'm going to have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's pick a few more calls
Wow,
and then we'll get
because
to
a lot of questions here.
Yes. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Tajuddin, please, 1 minute.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Segun Showunmi. Yes, I would like to ask this. Based on what you said, the judge said, are you thinking of going by the judge's advice going forward? Should we expect, maybe after the primary election, if the ticket was not given to you, should we expect if you don't get any of this mandate? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Took their franchise, then everybody would sit up. Who should be Atiku's running mate? And is it too old? I need to spend some time on this. 2 occasions in the Buhari presidency cemented my opinion around maturity. And I'll flip it to an issue before their time. I have asked myself 1 million times, what would a young, untrained, brash person have done during NSAS? He could have easily thrown in the guns very early and would have had the chaos in our hand. Why did Buhari restrain until that nick of time? That's what experience does. I've asked myself, what would a young brash who does not understand the historical issues of the country, what would he have done around the iPod issues in the Southeast? Would have gone to war. Why do I say this? In 1966-60s, do you really think when the boys who did the coup to kill Tafawa Balewa and his wife, they did a coup, right?
Right.
What was the need for them to come out of that expedition right after and start boasting without any sense of recognizing that there could be tribal backlash? We've had coups in this country that did not generate an opinion. That's what happens when you don't have matured people. Then the next question is, what exactly was on the table in Aburi that was so difficult for them to agree on and save us the war, that then became reasonable for them at the point when they were doing the article of surrender? Again, it's because of their youthfulness. So I'm young, I'm 53. I'm not a general person who says, let old men just be it. No. What I'm saying is that the issues that we're dealing with now are very dire. Let's not deceive ourselves. We have serious disunity in this country that it takes somebody who understands the historical perspective of where we're coming from, how we hurt ourselves, to at least merge us together. Somebody who has relationship everywhere that we can leverage on. We've seen what Buhari did with his parochialism. So it tilts it for me. But don't forget I told you, I am looking for us to examine and expunge what the others want to talk about. So maybe there will be an Obama among them. Sometimes I even ask myself, why didn't I just add 10 million to the money and just go and contest this presidency so that the conversation they can be taught how to do conversation around issues? But hello, even it's the one that I could afford, and Ogun State is precious to me. That was the one I did. So I'm not saying it must be this man. I am saying you need to listen well, and you need to understand that the job to be done is very hard. Who should be his running mate? Honestly, after we lost 2019 election, on record I tell you now, I ran through the whole Southeast begging Igbo leaders, you guys are going to give us a problem by 2023. When they asked me how, I said the conscience of the nation will be pricked. What's going to be the excuse? People have to come forward, start crisscrossing, visit the Obas, visit the Emir. You know what they kept telling me? And that's not our issue. Our issue is just somebody that will give us a place to play our economy. And they didn't step forward. Now they are beginning to step forward. But how much time do they even have to be known in all the nooks and crannies of the country? So that's where the challenge is. And you cannot win an election unless you can get the numbers. So for me, it still has to be an evil vice president. They should go and find him if Atiku wants to win. Someone with a lot of baggage. Baggages are everywhere. When people have been criticizing you forever and ever, you have to ask them one question. If Atiku had done this thing, why the hell is he not in jail? Why have they not charged him? So it simply means that sometimes these things are rumors that are regurgitated and driven by big voices with no evidence. I swear to you all, before I even agreed to speak to him, I dug very deep. I went to check what happened with Siemens. I went to check what happened with Power. And I found out that, save for the fact that you are collectively guilty of an association, you couldn't pin anything directly on him. And I asked, if there was, why has it not been charged?
I'm sorry, we'd have to interrupt.
New Deal. Wow, they want to interrupt me before I say about the New Deal.
We're out of time.
Well, the New Deal is just
we understand that a lot of calls, I mean, the phone lines are still going crazy, but we have to go on a commercial break. And of course, I'll start the second segment. But let's thank Mr. Segun Showunmi for coming. We appreciate you deeply so much. Thank you so much for coming. All right, so we'll proceed on that break. When we come back, we'll start from the second segment. Read your comments that we have on WhatsApp as well as Facebook and Twitter, and proceed with the second segment. Stay here.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
I like talk radio.
Welcome to your number one talk radio station.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This is your favorite station.
Splash FM 106.7.
Ogun State Trade Fair is here again, and we at Pamper PLC, makers of great shoe brands in Nigeria since 1960, will be there to give you fantastic offers. Parents, school owners, and companies in need of safety boots, take advantage of this offer to get huge discounts on all our purchases. We are Pamper. We care for your foot needs. For more information, call 0704-887-9544 or 0818-351-3550.
ASPIRANT ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àbísúyọ lóko bọ̀pá dé. wọ́n ní ẹ ò gbọ́dọ̀ kárí ẹ̀ lórí ìgbọ̀ ọ̀tún. pàápàá àǹfààní tó gbọ́mọ pọ̀n dáadáa. ilẹ̀ oko mo lọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ orílẹ̀ ìlúgùn ọlọ́run dá 25,000 ní plọ̀tì báyìí. ẹ ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta kẹ́ ẹ gba ìdajì sí i. bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra ẹ gba plọ̀tì kan sí i. ilẹ̀ àgbẹ̀ kọ́bápá alábàtà ọ̀pẹ́jì 30,000 per plot. bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ìdajì lẹ́gbà sí i. bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra ẹ ó gbòdìdì kan sí i. àwọn onírà ti wà ńlẹ̀ láti ra èrè oko yín. 39 NTA Road ọgbẹ̀ Abeokuta 08033706236 08033706236. ASPIRANT ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àbísúyọ lóko bọ̀kọ̀ ìgbọ̀tún fáwọn àgbẹ̀.
ọjọ́ 21 oṣù tá a wà yìí láǹfààní yóò pín.
Hello, Chooks. Because we got a new laptop, 2 boxes, rechargeable fan, 3.
Your call credit has been exhausted.
Yeah, Ebuka, because load 1,000 naira Airtel for this phone now. Ebuka, I send you 1,000 naira. You go load 8,000 naira. Be this boy in Apuara there.
Oga, no. As they make plenty call. Now why I use Ovajara load the card?
Bam! Get 8 times your recharge plus double data on Ovajara. You also get 1,000 naira bonus on every new SIM activation. Dial star 544 hash from an existing SIM to obtain.
Oh yeah, go buy food for Mama cheap place. Make sure add Ovajara.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
àṣeyọrí gan làgbà iṣẹ́ gbogbo aláṣeyọrí ayọ̀ aláṣeyọrí class home and property limited lónìí ọ̀pọ̀ ilẹ̀ wọn ti di wámútìrẹ́ báyìí lórí owó tí kò ga ju ara lọ randa extension hilltop máwùkọ́ àti kọ̀bàpẹ́ 100,000 ní plọ̀tì yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni lóko wọn ti di ọ̀pọ̀ yùkẹ́ mo lọ́kẹ̀dẹ̀ 25,000 ní plọ̀tì kan bẹ̀ kọ̀bàpẹ́ alábàtà òṣìṣẹ́lẹ̀ 30,000 ní plọ̀tì ẹ̀ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta kẹ́ẹ̀gbá ìdajì sí bó sì jẹ́ ékalẹ̀ra òdìdí lẹ́gbàsí pẹ̀lú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àǹfààní tẹ́ẹ̀jẹ̀ lórí ilé oko wọn torí pé àwọn onírà àti onímọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ti wà níkàlẹ̀ láti là ń lọ́yẹ̀ lórí kan tẹ́ gbèsè ilé oko tẹ́ bára 4 mọ̀túndì abíọ́láwé ìlẹ́gò daily express furniture ni wọ́n wà ọlọ́ṣogbo abẹ́òkúta Ogun state 08033086557 08033086557 lóòótọ́ àṣeyọrí gan làgbà iṣẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń bá wa ná dandan ní kẹ́ láṣeyọrí ayọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tiwa ọjọ́ 21 oṣù tá a wà yìí láǹfààní yóò pẹ́.
Honey, must you go?
Baby, no, I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
Hey, what if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Getting a land from a reputable real estate firm is one of the best decisions to be made when buying land. Homeland Estate is here to make your dream of becoming a land owner with ease come true. At Homeland Estate, our lands are affordable, accurate in size, flexible payment options, steady electrical power supply, genuine documentation, accessible roads to each plot with guaranteed security. Avail this opportunity of becoming a land owner with ease today. At Homeland Estate, our estate locations are at Kobakwe, Iduri, Ofada, and Alabata. Iduri Phase 1 is now selling fast for 650,000 naira. Kobakwe for 850,000 naira. Get in touch with us today, one time, and you'd be the one telling the story of a wow experience. Homeland Estate is located at 24 Ladubu Street, Okelewu, Abeokuta. For more inquiry, call 0702-500-0637 or 0702-500-0638. Website www.homelands.ng. Homeland Estate, your dream come true.
It's time to close shop on all the radio stations.
In person. And the award goes to...
Oh my God!
The king is now in the city.
Thank you.
Welcome to Splash 106.7 FM Abeokuta.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
All right, we're gone 3 minutes past 9 a.m. now in the city of Abeokuta. Your dial is still tuned to Splash 106.7 FM, and this is the Integrity Station. Welcome back to Panorama. Before we move to the second segment from the pages, we do have a mammoth of comments that spilled over from the issue of the day this morning. I'll handle some comments from Twitter. We have from Akorede Camille, Mr. Segun Showunmi just said, we shouldn't stay with the old narrative. And I ask, how best can he persuade us when we saw Governor Wike and former Governor Ayodele Fayose at the declaration ceremony of Ladi Adebutu? But same can't be said of his own. Edun A. Abayomi, Will it be appropriate to congratulate Mr. Showunmi and the PDP for successfully loaning a chairman to the opposition APC? On zoning, I've come to realize that it depends on who you ask. Everyone has a reason for wanting the pie. May the best candidate win. Sheon Falola, listening to Mr. Segun Showunmi is always interesting any day. He is smart, intelligent, and usually sounds patriotic and sincere. It will be difficult to change the narrative in our political space without the likes of Mr. Segun Showunmi managing our state affairs. He goes on, in my opinion, the problem is not APC or PDP. Oh, well, maybe. I don't know why this happens. The problem is the people and their values. Our acclaimed leaders over time are a reflection of who we are as a people. As a people, we are hypocritical, manipulative, deceptive, and sentimental. Temidayo, it is if truly Atiku is guilty of all these things, then he ought to be in jail. We shouldn't deceive ourselves. That is the only one among the presidential candidates that can make things work in this country without sentiments. Well, that is your personal opinion. Temidayo Shonfalola goes on. In actual fact, Nigeria as a country is sick, poor leadership and hypocritical followers. Right, what we need is not the usual regular old faces. They're mere opportunists without an iota or idea on how to take the country out of the mess we're in right now. All right, we have some comments on Facebook.
Yes, we do. I think it's just one. Tujegbeyemi says, this man is politically vibrant. I'm developing interest in him. He is just like Ashiwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well,
we have more. We have more.
On Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
We have Tayo Ademola Dinero. Good morning, Benga and Odera. Good morning, Mr. Showunmi. My simple question this morning is, what is our expectation from you and Adebutu? Because he's also an aspirant from PDP. Are you going to stand down for him? Abdul Kabir Adetunji says, ask Mr. Showunmi what will he do different regarding security situation in Ogun State if we elect him come 2023. Sason Hezekiah says, why must you politicians play sagacious games before reunion at 0.8 hours to general elections? Is it to be aware the crown fitted on those to be appointed during his or her administration? Well, okay. Tiamiyu Rashid, good morning, Benga, Odera, and Mr. Showunmi. I love the guest in the studio this morning. He has been objective in his analysis this morning rather than being political. I still want PDP party members to be united so that they can take charge of governance in Ogun State. And those are some of the comments that we are able to, I hope there aren't any more that we have missed on Facebook this morning.
So we have to proceed now to the second segment of the, but thank you so much. We see the lines are still going crazy, but we'll have to move on now to the second segment. We have Dr. Kunle Ashimi joining us for this one. Dr. Ashimi, thank you so much for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. I have with me the Nigerian newspaper.
And that's what I'm supposed to use, called the Vanguard newspaper.
Okay, headliner, Abuja, Kaduna train attack. Youths donate blood, terrorists contact families. How bureaucracy caused train attack. Amechi. Attack questions our collective ability to govern. That's coming from governors. Reps blast service chiefs over failure to honor invitation. Federal government must prosecute indicted 1,200 terror sponsors, suspects. Now, that's coming from Falanan. Those stories can be found on pages 2 and 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Federal government approves procurement of lie detectors, night vision goggles for NDLEA on page 8. 2023 presidency, blackmail can't stop North from fielding candidates. Northern Coalition on page 13. Afe Babalola's column, the judiciary must remain independent. That's on the back page. Nigeria-Ghana match, vandalized facilities at MKO Abiola National Stadium. You can find the picture on the top half of the newspaper this morning. OAU students' murder trial. Court dismisses no case submission by Adedoyin and others on page 5. Reps Committee uncovers 300 billion naira unclaimed funds in banks on page 4. River population, Oshun declares war on illegal miners on page 29. FIRS contributed 59.45% of revenue shared by FAAC monthly in 2021 on page 6. Olu of Wari visits Abiodun, predicts oil discovery in Ogun on page 29. And there's a picture here on the front page of the Olu of Wari, Ogiame Atuwase III, Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun, and the Alake of Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Gbadebo, during the visit of the paramount rulers to the governor at the Presidential Lodge in Abeokuta on Wednesday. And Edo Assembly passes anti-open grazing bill on page 29. Those are the stories that you can find on the front page of the Tribune newspaper this morning.
Let's take you now through the Vanguard. The big story is this: Kaduna Train attack questions her capacity to govern. This is coming from the governors. A number of riders, multiple ones. Morning now and everyday ordeal. This is coming from the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN. Life near worthless under APC Buhari, says PDP. A third rider, we must treat economic saboteurs with iron hand. This is coming from Senator Buhari. A fourth rider, controversy rages over passengers manifest. You find that on page 7. Final rider, news analysis, bandits threat to rail air transportation in Kaduna. You find that on page 27. Sarakin Southeast says Nigeria needs president with stamina, not dependent on aid. You find that on page 9. 30 days ago, I didn't know I'll become APC national chair. This is coming from Adamu. You find that on page 4. U.S. begins interview waiver program for certain visa renewals. You find that on page 6. Over 120 million mobile subscribers risk disconnection as name SIM integration ends today. We'll find that on page 4. Bandits killed 23 in Kaduna villages. You find that on page 3. Autumn furious over armed herders killings in Benue communities. You find that on page 6. How I plucked my victim's eye to make charm. Well, sad one. You find that on page 3 from a suspect. And why Nigeria should reduce annual population growth. NPC chairman, you find that on page 4. Adegoke's murder, you have case to answer. Court tells Ade doing 6 others. You find that on page 10. Reps ask NNPC to submit status details of $12 billion natural gas pipeline project. You find that on page 6. FG approves lie detectors, night vision, goggles, for NDLEA. That's the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. You find that on page 4. Those are the stories we have on the front page. There's a picture here of royal fathers who visited the governor of Ogun State. We have the Olu of Wari, the Ogun State governor himself, Prince Dapo Abiodun, and the Alake of Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Gbadebo, during the royal visit of the paramount rulers to the governor at the Presidential Lodge in Abeokuta. That happened yesterday. Those are the stories on the front page of Vanguard newspaper today. All right, again, we have Dr. Ashimi with us. And so let's begin with okay, let me see. Population growth, right? This is coming from the National Population Commission chairman, who feels Nigeria should reduce its annual population growth. Are you confident that steps are being taken in this direction from the angle of the government, from the angle of the people, in terms of how enlightened they are when it comes to population explosion?
And I remember that this has been a talk for quite some time. I remember when I was in primary school, we had this frenzy when the news broke that it was advised that Nigerians shouldn't have more than 4 children in a family. So it doesn't seem, by all intents and purposes, that has actually been followed through, because we have families that have as much as 5, 6, 7 children in the family. So one of the questions that comes to mind is, one, does it mean that we haven't particularly learned from the past on how to properly structure for the future, for future population, making plans now as against what the population is likely to be in the next 20, 30 years?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let's start this way. Why do you have population census? Why do you set up a body, fund it heavily, to have your population assessed every 10 years on the average, even though we hardly ever keep to the timetable. Now, you need census to be able to design the development, of the country over the years, to know who to cater for, what to cater for. A lot of people actually focus on the numbers, but statisticians and development experts would focus a lot more on the rate of increase. They will focus on new areas that are developing. When you have a population growth, even within this Abeokuta metropolis, there are some areas that were not populated 10 years ago, but they are populated now.
Right.
Okay? And perhaps there's an area where it was just one house, and now you go there and everywhere is filled up. So, in other words, when you know these parameters, you also be able to, break down the population into ages. There is a reason why they say from this age to this age is this number. This figure. From this age to this age is this figure. Every strata in that population distribution have their own peculiar needs. And then there are certain things that you have to do. But you ask me, with all the population census that we've been having, is there anything to point to the fact that we are making use of these figures? I hardly can see. How well have we planned for under 5 mortality? And then how well have we planned for primary schools and primary school expansion? If you're looking at education alone, or the ages 0 to, say, 12, for example, within that 0 to 12, you have 0 to 5, then you have the school age, then you have the preschool, and all of those.
Right.
Now, within that strata, you would have had to say, there are certain peculiarities or peculiar needs of children from 0 to 5 years, especially in terms of health. Did we prepare for them? No. When we look at even those age groups, we also look at nutrition, malnutrition, and all of that. Did we prepare for that? No. Now you have the primary school age group. How many primary schools did we create? Did we look at the localities and say this is the density of this number of children in that area? But of course, if you travel along some of our roads, you see children trekking up to 2 kilometers every morning to access primary school.
Right.
And that tells you there is a problem with planning. So in all, I'm trying to just summarize that we take these census figures just for the sake of it. It is not impacting on our people.
Right.
Maybe that is why the people themselves don't understand why it is necessary. If the previous census has impacted positively on their lives and they understand that, if we don't tell them how many people live here, we may not get so and so.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Or if we are much more than this, they can break up the community and say you need to expand. But people hardly ever see population growth in some places. Now, in some countries like France, after the war, for example, after the World War, they lost a lot of able-bodied men to the war. And so they were encouraging their people to have children. Okay? So that, and then in fact, they could pay you. They make life so easy, pampering people just to have children so that they can show up their population. So also was it in some other countries in Europe. In China, they realized that this increasing population will cause us a big problem later in life. Therefore, in about 1983 or thereabout, they made the law one family, one child. Despite all that, despite all that, they still assumed that this may not really help. Therefore, they started building, estates and all of that, towns that could accommodate a population that they feel may come. And today you have what are called the ghost towns of China, where you have skyscrapers as high as 30 floors and everything, and nobody has lived in them for over 35 years. So they are pulling them down. Okay, but they made that safety net in case this plan fails. We'll be able to accommodate that excess population. Have you seen anything like that here? No. So the people themselves don't get to understand. Now, the other thing that drives population, especially in our own area, is poverty. Now, one, poverty will drive some people to have more children, even though it's counterproductive, believing that the more they have, the chances becomes higher that at least one of them will break out and make it in life and then support the parents. That is one. The other one is that some of these people have so much children so that they can have enough workforce on the farm.
Right.
All right. So if the government does not, attend to some of these baselines, some of these basic issues I have raised, then we're fooling ourselves concerning population.
I feel like asking a question around, there used to be some sort of programs. I mean, I remember family support program back in the days. I mean, what has become of programs like that?
Yes, one of the things you realize about Nigeria is that programs are hardly sustained. And the bottom line of this, or the basic problems here are one, poor program design, poor program implementation, poor follow-up or monitoring, okay, and then corruption. Okay? Now, the other part of this is that the people themselves hardly understand why these programs are put in place, okay, such that, you see, a lot of things around us is government's own. It is never our own. Otherwise, why would you have government spend so much money? Maybe construct a road, put very beautiful drainages and all of that. And the people by themselves will go and be pouring dirt, refuse inside the drains. Because for whatever it's worth, people hardly see government programs, government projects as our own. It's government's own. So people don't get to be part of these programs. Okay? How often, sometimes, if you get to some settings, while you are saying they are going about stakeholders, these stakeholders, that the program they want to implement is already laid. They just want to satisfy, and then by the time you don't find any input from the stakeholders, and that is why a lot of those programs always fail. Okay? The major stakeholders could be experts, could be the people that's going to be impacted. They are never involved. Project design is faulty.
I think Benga should even be handling this, but let's move to the Nigeria-Ghana match and the vandalization. No, you're the sports guy. You are the sports guy. The vandalization of the facilities at the MK Abiola.
I feel like developing a mechanism whereby I'm just numb to stories like that.
Oh, no, you can't be numb. You're exposed. You're exposed. You're exposed to it. Right, I know that this kind of brings some sort of heartbreak to Nigerians concerning the World Cup. But bringing it back home, what do you think of our conduct after the match? Vandalizing the stadium in protest of some sort.
It's the handbag of a frustrated man with your thumb. And you will see the reaction that will come. And it will pour all the venoms on you, and you ask yourself, for what? Anything positive coming from there. He had a lot of bottled up anger, bottled up hopes that look gloomy.
And bleak.
Okay? Very bleak things, you understand? And so you are just a step away from making him unleash everything on you. So what you had at that stadium is one of those things that caused it I have described. There are a lot of frustration. People would have just, okay, with all these things, let me even go home dancing for one thing, that my team won. Don't forget, on that field of play, there were Nigerians. There was no Igbo man, no Yoruba man, no Kanuri, no Biram, no Angas, no Chamba. All of them were Nigerians. And then there were Nigerians, in the stadium who just wanted Nigeria to win. At least let me have one good news. Right. Because if you read the papers over the last few days, everything had been very gloomy, very bad news. Let me just have one thing to celebrate. And then all of a sudden, and don't forget, before that, somebody had come to give you all the hopes. Don't worry, we are going to win. Don't worry, you are. And again, the tickets were even given free. Come and watch and all of that. And people just wanted one. There was some intelligence report known beforehand by the DSS that assumed that certain, what do you want to call them now? Insurgents or, sorry, don't let me use insurgents. People who want to break away, what do we call them now?
What do they call them now?
Don't
Secessionists.
worry. Secessionists. If you don't get it, it's not my fault.
Forget
So the point is that there was some intelligence report that dictated that, okay, those people were going to do something like that to embarrass the president and all of that. And for that reason, the president was advised not to come. But you see, even if all it took that day, if anybody can play back the video as it is anywhere in the world, it will take one person's action or one person's voice. And he says, what is this? And every other person will echo it.
Right.
But if the situation is different for other people that are there, only one frustrated person, and they will just be looking at what is wrong with this one. But every other person around him felt the same way, as going through the same thing as he is going through. So you would expect that. Staff doctor was stampeded and he died. No. That is not true.
All right.
He died of cardiac arrest during the match. And please, let us also say that that is a shame. It is a shame. One of us had died on the pitch of play because of cardiac arrest before. And despite that, we still have this thing happening. We don't have everything we need to take care of such a person at that point. A lot of things need to be changed.
Many feel as a result of what happened, some sort of sanction might land on Nigeria. I mean,
Of course, naturally, you expect that to happen. Naturally, it will come. That one is a normal thing to follow.
All right. Do we have another story?
All right, let's move on to maybe a final one, and then we'll have to wrap up very shortly as well in about some 18 minutes time. So let's look at the issue that concerns Kaduna. The Kaduna train attack, and the governor is saying that the fact that the attack happened questioned their capacity to govern. As a matter of fact, bandits, according to how the Vanguard reports this, they've killed 23 in Kaduna villages. The question is, I'm looking at all the states that for some reason also border Abuja. I think Kano is right after Kaduna or so and all of that. But Kano seems to enjoy relative peace as against Kaduna. What is it about Kaduna? Is it that the governor is incapacitated to handle security issues?
Right, and do you see this, in addition to Benga's question, do you see this encroaching into Abuja as well in the future?
Now, there's a part of me that says that a lot of these issues were done to embarrass El-Rufai. Just a part of me, before I go into the detailed analysis. And why would I say so? El-Rufai was this person to take a hard stand on them, who said he would never negotiate, who said even if you kidnap my daughter, I would not They are trying to get back at him, but at what expense? That is just one part of it. It may actually be true. Now, the other part of this is that even if that were to be the case, we have criminal elements amongst us.
Right.
We have people who, in October 2021, was when they first breached the rail line. The railways appeared to have been the safest, for a long time because of all the kidnappings and killings that has been happening on the road. And they felt, okay, now you have moved away from the roads. I will come to meet you where you're going. And they've even been to the airport.
Right.
They raided the airport. Now, that now goes even beyond the governor. Whether the governor took a hard stand, whether they want to embarrass him or not, the issue is what are security forces doing. But let me first of all come to this point. Even if we have 1 million policemen and 5 million soldiers in this country. We cannot police every inch of the country.
Right.
So I feel bad when people start saying, what are our policemen doing? They should be there. The police cannot be everywhere. They cannot be in every village. They cannot be in every household. They cannot watch every single person.
Right.
And there are some people who are evil but look so saintly. And you see, Shakespeare, there is no art to tell the mind's construction from the face. Okay? There are so many people. If you see these people when they are captured, you will hardly be able to say, and so this one can also have criminal intent. You know, they don't look it. So it's going to be difficult. But then let me also say, do other countries have these challenges? Yes. Okay? The United States, within the few days of this year alone, you know how many shootings have occurred? Do you know how many lives have been lost? This thing is still, but this is Nigeria. This is us. Yes, everything happens the way it does, but we can do something about it. We can do something about it. Now, if you look at it, Kaduna is the hotspot, has been for some time.
Right.
Now, our security forces should focus a lot more there. And it pains me to say that the way some of these things happen, it seems that the bandits have their spies within the military. But don't the military also have spies among the bandits? Or what is the purpose of, look, some people say it was wrong to, you will rehabilitate those who come forward to surrender. But also you will make use of them for some things, either to get into the, there's a way to look at how do these people think? How do these people reason? What are the things they have? And you could have gotten that in debriefing the people you say you are rehabilitating. So you can pick your hotspots. You can preempt some of them. Sometimes I tell people, the major problem with a lot of us in this country, one day I was telling somebody that I think about 2 years ago, there was a drought in India. And their farms, especially the onion farms, were destroyed. And I said, onion is going to be expensive in Nigeria. I said, how? How is that our business? I said, because the Indians must eat onions. And the average Nigerian businessman who is in that business will push onions towards India. Right. That is why you listen to the news, so that you can relate events around the world to what is happening here. For those people who know, the moment the Ukrainian Russian crisis started, we knew that we're going to have problem with oil prices. We're going to have problem with gas. We're going to have problem with wheat. Right. We're going to have problem with maize. So these are issues. And I don't expect that our security forces, especially the intelligentsia or the intelligence community, would allow some of these things to go. These people had breached on October 2021, and you allowed the second one to happen. Okay? Now, just shortly after that, a third one happened. And within hours after that, they invaded a village. There's a problem. The problem is not with the man on the field. It's not with the soldiers carrying the gun. It's not with the soldier that is called to say, go and fight there. The problem is intelligence gathering. And that is the bane of all these things. Then the other part of it is that, you see, when Nigerians talk, say, go and kill these people. Yes, I have heard somewhere that, look, where these people are located has been mapped. But they use human shield. Okay? Now, it's a tough decision for anybody in power to take, to say, bomb them. We have the capacity to bomb them if everything that the Air Force is saying is true. We have the capacity to bomb them without them even seeing the aircraft that bombed them. That's what the Tuscano will do. Okay? We have drones, unmanned drones that could destroy them without them even hearing the sound of the crafts. But the point is the collateral damage. But then let us analyze the collateral. The collateral that we're talking about are, one, perhaps those who had been kidnapped by these people and are kept within those localities. Those can be said to be innocent. But their wives are not innocent. Their children are not innocent. The people who go to sell goods to them, the traders who trade foodstuff and all of that with them, know who they are, and they are not innocent. So perhaps for the sake of those that are in those camps because they were kidnapped, then we'll be very careful not to bomb. You remember the story of is it Lot? No, Abraham and the angels.
Daughters.
And then when they say, okay,
right.
if you go into, Inspector General has actually acquired some UAVs, and that some of these UAVs have range of about 56 kilometers. You'll be able to see from afar. Why did it take so long? You see, these people travel, especially on their cycles, a lot, especially if you have intelligence beforehand. So they will by themselves come out to be bombed. But something has to be done, but mostly the intelligence community has the issues.
Right. Okay, let's get to the lines, but I think we should flip this a little bit and read the comments first that we have. Particularly, I'm interested that in this tweet from Akurede Kami, who says, like play, you are giving us the impression that Panorama on Splash now closes by 9:30 a.m. But that's not true. Okay, I'm trying to clarify a few things. On the fans' attack after the Ghana match, I think one clear message to our leaders is just that all is not well in this country. But they're closing by 9:30. Well, there are some days that, we have people who want to do some adverts and all of that, which is what we allow for. But it's not on every single day.
It's not on every occasion.
Yeah, so
all
please
right.
bear with us in that regard, okay?
Okay, so the phone lines are open now. 0704 400 1067 0705 050 1067.
Also, feel free to talk. If you want to talk about the issue of the day as well, would gladly indulge in that regard. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is Nicholas.
All right, Nicholas.
Yeah, our population is controlled. It is controlled by the Lekki massacres, the Yewa massacres, the Shiro massacres, the court killings, the building collapses, the ritual killings, the iPod killings, even wives killing husband and vice versa. So the Nigerian population is controlled. And if a poor man and a poor woman are at home, they cannot be denied the simple things, the only things that can make them happy. Secondly, on Kaduna, the person knew Kaduna is the most fortified city in West Africa, with the highest number of military installations. At the last election that brought in Buhari, El Rufai told the whole world that the foreign observers will go in body bags. Now they are attacking the train and the airport. It appears El Rufai no longer, El Rufai now has lacked the power on handling the security. On the violence at the stadium, let nobody in the world be shocked. We saw Americans troop into the Capitol Hill. One man even sat down on Nancy Pelosi's chair. All those Americans were not all taps. When Italy defeated England, we saw so-called gentlemen behave like hooligans. They even overwhelmed the British police because for them it appeared the Italians had disgraced the Queen and the royal family. In fact, we should thank God that match did not take place in Surulere. We should thank God that match did not take place in Surulere. The Nigerians in Abuja are even more civilized, in quotes. But the football is the only way that we are one. And they came here to have something to smile about after suffering in Yanya and Zuba. Only for us to lose there. The people who were dangerous after that match, they gentlemanly entered that stadium before the kickoff. Something happened. Dr. Shimu, you will agree with me that if you are hypertensive and you are in that studio now, you are calm and safe. But if there's a stampede around Abiola way, your heart might be triggered. So Nigeria should be ready to pay for the life of that Cameroonian doctor. Thank you for me. Please.
Okay.
Why does the army see clearly the rainforests in Olu and Inewi, and they find it difficult to see clearly the Sahel in the north? Now we have Tucanos and our UAVs. When we get deployed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. 0704 400 1067. Also note that you can reach us on Space, and if you are on Space, you can make your comment known if you want to. All right, good morning.
Turn off your radio, please.
I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Alarm, please. 1 minute, as much as possible. Thank you.
Like Nicholas has said, our population has already been controlled. And what essence is population sense of when it is not having any impact on us as nationally? You analysts have said it all, that what you have to do is we believe in population if it's impacting or not. Now, what is happening in U.S. and some other advanced countries, their population matter to us, to them, is a planning, access to planning and some other things. But here, It's a mere waste of time and waste of resources. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Alara, for talking to us. So you've sent us messages, don't feel slighted. Let's read some messages.
Right, we have a few more on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Abiodun Surakat says, it is generally happening all over the world and that human beings are the most difficult to control. But why we have it controlled in other climes where is because there are laws and the implementers. If people are pouring refuse or dirt in the drainages, what is the government doing to checkmate such from occurring? So the government should be firm and put out modalities to punish offenders. Studio, Ms. Otaru, Mr. Benga, and Dr. Comrade Olakunde.
Which one will Comrade again?
I am Olohusonya Shamsuddin Akorede.
Olonsonya.
Okay, Olonsonya Shamsuddin Akorede. Should the government please order Mr. Gumi's arrest and interrogate him? All right, I think those are the comments that we have on WhatsApp.
Let's breeze through what WhatsApp, Twitter now. Sheofalola says, regardless of the fans' behavior after Nigeria lost the World Cup qualifiers to Ghana, they still love the Super Eagles. What you see is just crowd mentality. The behavior is just a moment of madness, exhibition of pain and anger as a result of disappointment. Timmy Dyer says, Baba don't talk the truth. Atiku is the one that can bring the lost glory to this nation. We're not divided like this, and I'm sure come 2023, PDP will get back to Asa Atiku. We can't be so sure. It's up to the people to decide, but thank you for your comment in that regard. We also, I think those are the ones that we have. Yes.
Wait, let's take this call.
So to this final call. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Uche, thanks for calling us.
Yeah, Uche calling from Abeokuta.
Just keep it down to a minute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You see, this arrangement of Flora Shaw and the Lugard, I've said it before. If we didn't come together and discuss how we want to manage it, lamentation will continue beyond 2023. DSS told us that they had that Sunday go, it was compiling arms and ammunition. That's why they invaded his home without considering collateral damage. How long will it take DSS to invade the terrorist camp? Now, for now. How long will it take DSS to invade the terrorist camp? Pantami told us to go and do NIN. That is when they will know where the terrorists are calling from and where they are keeping people. Now, they kidnap people from the Kaduna Tram victims, and they are calling their families to bring ransom. What is the work of NIN, and where is Pantami with the NIN for now? Let us live with hypocrisy. If you never live with hypocrisy, this arrangement of Orasho and the Lugard is not taking us anywhere. We must come and redefine this concussion. Let us know how to manage it, whether we will stay or go different ways. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Uche. That's the final call we can take, as well as comment from 8 o'clock that we started from the issue of the day up until now. We just got concluded with from the pages. Let's thank Dr. Ashimi for coming through this morning.
That's right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, then. So tomorrow, it's another time to enjoy a dose of panorama, everything political, current affairs. Join Uzo and Miriam from 8 a.m. I am Binga Fayon. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I am Odera Otaru. Please get your PVC.